Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello and welcome to the School of Love, the place where we learn practical tools based on scientific research towards improving ourselves, living life to its fullest and contributing to the best of our abilities to the world around us. I am Dr. Maria Grajdian and I am a professor of media studies and anthropology at Hiroshima University. In my free time, I am doing my best to guide you in building up a life of contentment, joy, and fulfillment while applying lessons learned in school to overcome the difficulties, challenges, and insecurities of the real world. In today's video, I talk about lying, lies, and liars. This has been a topic which has concerned me a lot recently, and I have found it useful to engage my thoughts and emotions with it as it helped me tremendously in making sense of various events, both in my personal life and in the world at large. In this video, I deliver 5 ideas on the categories usefulness, consequences, causes, and the ubiquity of lying, so that by the end of this video, you too will have a clear idea of the dangers and perils of lying and of employing lies in dealing with life and of having to deal with liars as well, in the same manner in which it was an eye-opener for myself. But now, first things first, that is to disclaimers. The first disclaimer serves to strongly emphasize the fact that this YouTube channel, The School of Love, is not part of my educational and research activities at Hiroshima University. It is nonetheless part of my privilege, joy, and sense of duty to propagate and implement knowledge, information, as well as motivation and inspiration outside the limited framework of academic endeavors. Together, we can build up a better tomorrow for as many of us as possible. The second disclaimer relates to the fact that I am a trained musician and musicologist, not a psychologist, therapist, or counselor. The ideas I am sharing in my videos reflect my deep-going preoccupation with life, my own life and other people's lives, and express the results of my experiences, research, and for better or for worse, my failures, as well as my recovery from those failures. Recovery which is continuously ongoing. The ideas expressed in these videos, in the videos on the YouTube channel named The School of Love, cannot and may not and must not replace the consultation with specialists in whichever areas of your life you might be struggling or in which you might have questions. If you are new to the channel, I would like at this moment to ask you to please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you very, very much. This helps us not only with that mysterious algorithm which seems to dominate the YouTube galaxy, but also with contributing to the expansion of the community of humans doing their best to impact positively the world and those around them by discovering their authentic selves and living life wholeheartedly. Thanks again. With that being said, let's dive right back into today's topic, which is lying. So it is important from the very beginning to mention that we all lie more often than we like to acknowledge, even though they might be the ubiquitous white lies or small lies, when we don't want to be awkward, we don't really want to say the truth, and we think it doesn't matter anyway. So this is a very general idea. We all lie. Sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger, but it's important to become aware of the fact that nobody says the truth or keeps quiet all the time. White lies are even legal, at least in some parts of the world, and we all engage in lying more often than we would like to acknowledge. Number 2 is that lying becomes problematic when it serves to deceitful purposes which hurts those around us to our own benefit. And I would say this is a big one. So we may not take it easy when people lie and therefore put us in very awkward situations or detrimental situations to their own benefits. And this is very often the case. So, as I said, number 1, we all lie and we all engage in deceitful, in small deceitful situations. For instance, when a friend wants to buy a new dress for a party or for a wedding or whatever, and she asks us how she looks like in that dress. Obviously, she likes the dress, but she looks terrible in it. Nothing like the model, which on the cover, yeah, on the package, and but you don't want to hurt her feelings, and so you just say, yeah, well, um, you look great. And so she goes on and buys the dress and goes to the party or to the wedding or to the celebration, and she looks ridiculous, and everybody thinks she looks ridiculous. And in the end, everything could, and at some point she will feel that, and maybe someone is quite drunk and tells her the truth, and she'll be very hurt. And then that is the point where she might get actually angry and resentful at you for lying to her and putting her in such a ridiculous situation. So lying, um, so this kind of small lies, they appear as very as not important in the moment, but actually they are very detrimental in the long run. I have a different video on how to stop lying, um, and how to deal with this impulse at times to say a little small lie just to get away from the situation. But I always my experience in recent times is that the best thing you can do when you are in such an awkward situation in which a small lie might save face, but then who knows what kind of ripple effects it might have, is keep quiet. Keep quiet. And I don't know, there is this so I would say silence never killed anyone. Well, their philosophers would say, well, being silent becomes an act of treason um, at specific times. Let's hope we don't get that far, right? So for regular, everyday, quotidian situations, when you are in a awkward situation, um, and a small lie might save you, take silence. Just keep quiet. And well, that will probably be the best thing we can do in that very situation. So, but lying becomes problematic, as I said, when it starts to be detrimental for those around us, and even more problematic when we start to reap some benefits from the detrimental things we have implemented upon others. And there is a form of, and then there is actually a very small step towards pathological lying, or mythomania is it called, or in Latin has this fancy name, pseudologia fantastica, which is a chronic behavior in which the person habitually compulsively lies. And this is not something to take easy. I've been on the receiving end of such a behavior. Is not only painful, it's very confusing, because such people, they actually start to believe in their own lies, and when the truth comes out, they really try to convince you of their truth, which is obviously speaking not the truth. And then you have been kind of you actually you at some point, maybe you even start to like the person, and now you're in this conundrum where you don't really know what to do. Everybody would tell you just get away from them, from that person or from those persons. The problem is it's not always that easy, but we have to. So we have to be aware of this phenomenon of pathological lying, where people, this is most many times, not always and not mostly, but in many cases it's a trauma response, with people being raised in family environment in which they had to deal with things they could not really express, and probably their child, their brain, their plastic brain, their brain couldn't make sense of, so they started to create their own fantasies. If you remember, if you, I don't know if you know there is this book Anne of Green Gables, and there the main character Anne, she fantasizes a lot, and so much that people actually think that she is a pathological liar. And then in the course of the book and in the course of the movies, if you have watched it, if you watch it, there's a very beautiful actually version of an updated version to current times and challenges on Netflix, and with an E is titled the series, and it is very much about the fact that in order to survive and somehow make sense of the very chaotic and very traumatic events in her childhood, she had to start fantasizing about a world in which things are all right. There is order, and there is love, and there's warmth. So it's important to understand, to observe these people, and not to judge them, but also not to get too involved with them, and to keep one's distance from it. So, what are the characteristics of pathological lying? Is the fact that there is not really a reason, an internal reason for lying. So, as I said, usually people lie to get away from a situation which is uncomfortable. So, the so-called small lies. But sometimes people lie in order to to gain something from the others. So these are the two, but there is an internal reason for why people are lying. But in case of pathological lying, of pathological liars, there is no internal reason why they lie. They just choose to um, change the reality. Yeah, and so the second characteristic is that the stories they tell, they present themselves favorably, so that they somehow, if you want, they decorate their own person, in stories that present them either as the hero or the victim. And sometimes people just try to be much more than they are in real life, and as I said, they create this version of themselves which corresponds to what they think might be more acceptable than themselves. Again, it's not about accepting, it's not about excusing them. This is a pathological condition, and it can inflict a lot of damage to those around them. This is about understanding that lying is actually not a solution, and there are very good reasons why do not lie is one of the fundamental commandments among the 10 commandments that Moses received from God on the Mount of Sinai. So, and then again, so what is particularly lying is both an act of knowingly and intentionally or willfully making a false statement. And so, as I said, when we talk, so what is called normal lies under normal circumstances are defensive and told to avoid the consequences of truth telling. Yeah? So, as I said, we want to get away from a situation which is uncomfortable, and telling the truth might bring some problems to us. And so there are often this kind of small lies. They're often white lies that spare another person's feelings, reflect a pro-social attitude, and make civilized human contact possible. Again, as grown-ups, actually we should diminish as much as possible this employment of lies in order to somehow smooth interhuman interactions. On the other hand, pathological lying can be described as an habituation of lying. It appears when an individual consistently lies for no obvious personal gain. So again, there are professions in which lying is part of the job description, so to say. For instance, when working in a secret service, when working in public service, so being a public servant, when working, for instance, in immigration or law enforcement. Then again, we have to be very self-aware that lying is, while it appears as reinforcing pro-social interactions, it's actually destructive. And every time we rely on lying, on a lie to come across as friendly or as available, this will have ripple effects which we cannot predict, we cannot control, and which for sure at some point in the future will come back to haunt us. So that would be for today. I hope this helps. I hope you find some usefulness in this video about lying, about why it might appear as a practical solution and why it is not. And well, every time you feel like saying a small lie, just to save face, let's to say your face or someone else's face, think whether it is not more useful to just keep quiet for a couple of minutes, and maybe, hopefully, that awkward situation goes away, or maybe you find a way to say something closer to the truth, if not the truth itself, instead of just blatantly lying. So that would be it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you back again very soon. Love and peace to you all.